What's up, y'all? Alvin here, and today we're gonna tie another guide fly. Now this may be the ultimate guide fly. It's a Clouser Minnow. And if you watch to the end, I got a funny story to tell you that Bob Clouser told me. All right, let's get into it.
I tell the good jokes.
Okay, so like I said at the beginning, the Clouser Minnow is probably the ultimate guide fly. Quick and easy to tie. It'll catch pretty much any fish that eats other fish, and it's a classic. So if you don't know how to tie a Clouser, you definitely got to learn. Now, I showed a bunch of Clouser Minnows in my redfish box. I'll link the video right there. And I realized, like, man, I've got more Clousers than anything else. And that's probably because I've caught more fish on the Clouser than just about any other single fly. Now, I tie mine a little bit differently. Everybody's got their own technique, their own style. I've just really simplified the whole thing down to the bare minimum. All right, so all you need to tie a Clouser is just a few materials, bucktail, or you can use some other type of tail material. You know, there's lots of synthetic fibers and stuff like that that'll work to tie a Clouser. But I like to tie mine with bucktail. You need a hook. This is a TMCO 800S, size 2. Now you could tie them in, you know, I think I've got some tied as small as a size 10 and definitely much bigger, 1/0 and even 2/0. So this is a size I like for redfish. It's a stainless steel hook. And you need some eyes. So you can tie them with bead chain eyes. You can tie them with lead eyes. Since I use them mostly for shallow water for red fishing, I tie most of them on bead chain eyes. Bead chain eyes are nice because, you know, they come in a lot of different sizes, different colors, super cheap, easy to deal with. So I use my trusty old toenail clippers to clip these eyes off 2 at a time, like so. Super easy fly to tie. All right, first thing we got to do is get our hook out. Get it nice and tight. Oh, and of course you need thread. Always forget the thread, the most important part. That's the part that holds it all together. Usually you're going to want to match the thread to the color of the fly. I'm just going to use some dark thread. I didn't have any olive thread. I'm tying an olive Clouser. So I'm just going to use black today because that's what I got. Once again, the old guide fly. A lot of times you're tying them late at night before a trip the next day and you don't have time to run out to the fly shop to get more thread. You got to tie with what you got. So here we go. All right, so first thing we'll do is attach the thread to the hook. Now I like to go just a little ways back from the eye. Sometimes I'll count these wraps. Usually I'm somewhere between 10 and 15 wraps that way. So then I get my my eyes, and I like to put them on like so. So I'll wrap them in one direction, and then I kind of tweak it back with my hand and wrap them in the other direction. So these are just like single wraps. So I've got it pretty much attached to the hook at that point, and then I'll go ahead and do some figure 8 wraps on it. If you want to be extra secure, you could put a drop of head cement there. You know, it's a guide fly. I'm not going to go to all that much trouble. Okay, so now there's a couple different ways you can tie this Clouser. You know, you can tie it with just a single color, which is what I'm going to do, or you can tie it with 2 colors, so like a lighter color underneath your darker color. I like to keep it simple, so I'm just going to tie it one color. So I'm just gonna clip off a little bit of deer hair here, not too much. I actually like to keep them kind of sparse. About that much. That's about all I'm gonna need. It's about all you need. Okay, so what I usually do at that point is I'll grab the tips and kind of pull out any extra long ones. Just kind of toss that aside. I don't worry about evening the tips out in the hair stacker. I mean, you know, I kind of like the uneven look a little bit better. And then I just kind of lay that there next to the fly, get about the right proportions. Then I'll go ahead and come forward over here and just clip that off. All right, so now that I've got it, I'll kind of pinch it behind that stack of hair. I kind of start with a lighter tension, then as I move forward towards the eye of the hook, I'll kind of crank down on it just to keep it from flaring out so much. All right, so that's pretty much it. Really doesn't get much easier, and that thing has caught so many fish for me. Now, like I said, you could start off, there's a lot of different ways to tie the clouser. You could put your lighter color underneath the hook. You could also put your lighter color on top of the hook. I like to put a few wraps of thread behind the hair to kind of make it stand up a little bit more. It may help a little bit with make it a little bit more weedless, but that's pretty much it. Whip finish it. I like to throw 2 whip finishes on there. That way, if I don't feel like putting head semen on, it's good to go. But just for the sake of the video, I'll go ahead and put a little head semen on there. This is the some of that Loon UV head cement. This is the UV clear. That is the flow version, which is a little bit thinner, so I think it sinks into the thread a little bit easier. Hit it with the UV light, give it a little turn, make sure it's nice and smooth, and we're done. Doesn't really get much easier than that. I mean, come on. What was that? All of 3 minutes? And I've caught so many fish on that fly. So you can tie this thing in a million different colors, a lot of different ways to tie it, styles of the Clouser, but that's how I tie most of my redfish flies. Like I said, I threw a link to my redfish box in the beginning of the video. I've got a whole series of guide flies. I'll throw a link right there so you can check that out. All right, so since you guys waited around till the end, I'll tell you this funny story that Bob Clouser told me about the Clouser Minnow. So I was fishing with Bob on the Colorado River here below Austin. He had never caught a Guadalupe bass before, so that was pretty cool. He caught some Guadalupe bass on his Clousers and a little popper pattern that he tied. But the story was, and this is a funny story that somebody actually told me before Bob told me the story, so I know it's true. So anyway, there's a big fly tying club, and they have Bob Clouser there at one of their big get-togethers, annual fundraiser type of thing. So there's a bunch of people running around, tying flies, doing all kinds of stuff. And one of the club members, who I guess wasn't liked by everybody in the club, walks up to Bob Clouser as he's tying flies and says, "Hey, what's that you're tying?" And he says, "Well, I'm tying Clouser minnows." And the guy said, "Well, that's not how you tie a Clouser minnow. Let me show you how to tie a Clouser minnow." So the guy sits down at Bob Clouser's vise, ties his version of a Clouser minnow, hands it to Bob Clouser and says, "That's how you tie a Clouser minnow." And let me tell you, Bob is such a nice guy that he didn't say anything to the guy. Nobody else in the club said anything to the guy because they all thought it was pretty funny. So there you go. You never know who you're going to run into. So always be nice. Anyway, thanks for watching the video. If you like what you saw, please subscribe to the channel. Hit that little thumbs up button. If you hated it, please hit that thumbs down button 2 times. And as always, I want to wish you good luck on the water.